We've stayed pretty close to our customers, and what we're hearing is that they really have a need to connect. They're feeling the absence of trade shows in terms of staying on top of the technology, announcing new products, connecting with potential buyers, learning what the regulatory environment is, and that's what they normally would get from a live event.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 277. How can we safely network and connect when the coronavirus has effectively shut down the trade show industry? For that question, we head to Portland, Maine, in the offices of Diversified Communications. Lisa Murray is the event director for Diversified Communications, an international media company with more than 13 years' experience in producing world-renowned events for precision measurement professionals. If you're in this field, then you've most likely have attended one of their events, including SPAR 3D Conference and Expo, the International Lidar Mapping Forum, or the Commercial UAV Expo. As many of you know, the coronavirus has forced many companies to alter their business operations, especially where gathering of people is the norm. Conferences and expos have been canceled. That has been bad news, not only for the trade show and conference industry, but also for businesses that rely on these events to build contacts, learn new innovations, meet with clients, and close sales. In this edition of the Drone Radio Show, Lisa talks about plans by Diversified Communications to hold this year's Commercial UAV Expo and the UAV Expo Europe online in a virtual format. We talk about how the decision to go virtual came about, the challenges of moving a live event into the online realm, and what attendees can expect at this year's show. Joining Lisa is Lee Corkhill, who heads up marketing for Diversified's events, and Danielle Gagne, an editorial analyst also from Diversified, who specializes in the UAV technology sector. But before we hear from Lisa, Lee, and Danielle, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. Go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And if you have an idea for a great show and want to share your experience, please contact me at randy@droneradioshow.com. So let's learn how we can connect with other UAV professionals in a virtual setting with Lisa Murray, Lee Corkhill, and Danielle Gagne of Diversified Communications. Let's pick up the interview where I asked these ladies to introduce themselves.
I'm Lisa Murray. I'm the group director for the technology portfolio at Diversified.
This is Lee Corkhill. I'm the marketing director for Commercial UAV Expo Americas.
I'm Danielle Gagne. I'm the editorial analyst for Commercial UAV News.
Lisa, for those that may not know, what is Diversified Communications?
Diversified is a third-generation family-owned company based in Portland, Maine, but we have 600 employees worldwide, and we produce events, so conferences, trade shows, and digital media and print publications. And about 10 years ago, I guess maybe it's 11 years ago, we acquired some technology events. So we work in the surveying and mapping space with SPAR 3D, Expo and Conference, AEC Next, and Commercial UAV Expo Americas, Commercial UAV Expo Europe, and International Lidar Mapping Forum, Geo Week.
Tell us more about the Commercial UAV Expo.
Basically, it's a small UAS trade show that focuses on the key industry verticals for drone integration. So surveying and mapping, construction, infrastructure, transportation, drone delivery. Having come from the surveying and mapping space, we knew that that was going to be a key sector for expansion of drones. So we started there and then pulled in even precision agriculture and public safety as top verticals for drone integration.
How many people would you estimate attended last year's event?
Just over 3,000, 3,100, and 200 exhibiting companies. So it is the leading commercial event for drones in the U.S.
This year's event begins on September 15th and runs 2 days. And the big news is that this year's show will be held virtually. How did you arrive at that decision?
Well, obviously, 2020 has been an interesting year for event managers. There are no mass gatherings that have been allowed yet. And so Diversified has had all kinds of events that we've either postponed or pushed off or flat out canceled. But the reason that we went virtual for UAV Expo is that it's been about 9 months since there have been no drone shows happening in the market. The last live show was Amsterdam Drone Week in December of 2019. And we've stayed pretty close to our customers, and what we're hearing is that they really have a need to connect. They're feeling the absence of trade shows in terms of staying on top of the technology, announcing new products, connecting with potential buyers, learning what the regulatory environment is. And that's what they normally would get from a live event. So while it may have not appealed to some people a few months ago to gather virtually, I think now it's a big priority. And we're getting really positive feedback from our customers about bringing the industry together in September.
We're seeing a lot of shows in all industries moving to the virtual format. But Diversified made this decision early on in the pandemic. How difficult was it to make the decision to forgo a live event for a virtual conference?
It was a really hard decision. You know, there's nothing that can really replace a live event. So you have to consider it very seriously, because what are you going to put in its place, right? That's going to be valuable to people. So we remained open to the possibility of canceling it. We knew for sure we weren't going to be able to hold it live. JetBlue canceled service to Vegas. Las Vegas is open, but nobody's going. So we didn't want to put on a lackluster event. That would not have been a good way to serve our customers. So then we started really becoming students of virtual platforms. And we've come up to speed really quickly on what that looks like, how to do a good one versus a bad one. We've consumed all kinds of virtual events ourselves and have kind of landed on what we think is going to best fit our customer needs for September.
Let's talk about that, because you mentioned that one of the objectives was making sure that you're able to put out a high-value experience. How does one transfer the experience of attending a live event to the virtual world?
The ultimate value of live events is just connecting with people, right? And 85% of communication is nonverbal. So, you know, it's how do you replace that? And really, there is no way to do it. It's not going to be the same. So you have to come up with what's the priority in a virtual event. And what we've done is to sort of forego some of the features that we looked at in favor of really focusing on connecting buyers and sellers. So what that means is making it easy for people to find a good fit, you know, with the products that they're looking for or the education that they're looking for, making it easy to navigate a virtual site. There's an AI-powered matchmaking tool that will make recommendations. It's kind of like Tinder for trade shows. It will recommend people who fit your profile and you fit theirs. You have the option to accept them or not. And you can set up live meetings, up to 50 people actually in your booth, which is about as close as you can get to live interaction. So that's the focus of the platform. Of course, there's great content and there are networking things and fun factors and all of that. But the driving force is people need to come away with a lot of contacts that they can follow up on, and their businesses depend on it.
I know it's early, but what kind of response are you getting?
Well, we're just launching it now. So we're in July, and this is the first week that we've really been able to talk to exhibitors about what the offering is, what it's going to look like, and explain to them the virtual environment. So I would say, anecdotally, our customers are interested, they're positive. they're desperate for leads. So, if it's something that looks viable and we've made the price points really attractive, we've reduced it from our live pricing, I think they'll go for it. I mean, I think the value of Commercial UAV Expo as opposed to other events is we have a really, really powerful, qualified database of contacts. And so if we start with the right people and we forge those connections, it should be a good experience for everybody.
A lot of times when I go to a live event, I'll walk around, check out the rooms, view the schedule, and basically wander around until I get my bearings. Will the AI tool make it easier and quicker for attendees to engage with others?
Lee, do you want to take this one?
Yes, that's exactly what it will accomplish. I think when we all go to live events, especially the introverts among us, it's hard to connect with other people. But this tool, this algorithm, will propose who I might want to meet based on the industry I work in and the products or services that I'm interested in. And as more people interact, and as I interact with other people, the algorithm serves up more and better connections. So it's very sophisticated. And I think it will deliver people potentially many more connections than an in-person event. Another thing to mention is that without needing to travel, without the huge cost of attending an event, this virtual event is really open to so many more people than a live event. So there are going to be even that many more connections that people will get this year.
We don't want to get too excited about what the virtual platform can do because we're in the business of live events, right? But it is kind of exciting how far some of these tools have come, especially on the AI side. And so, for an example, if a virtual attendee comes to my exhibitor booth, my virtual booth, and they just look around, but they don't request a meeting and they don't take any information, I can reach back out to them and say, hey, I noticed that you stopped by our booth. Would you like to know a little bit more about our product? Or, how can I help you? You have full visibility to the entire attendee list, which is something you don't get at a live event.
How about the sessions? Will they be live or pre-recorded?
So we will have a combination of live and pre-recorded sessions. We're figuring that out now as we put together the conference program. But what is going to be a pretty neat feature is that even for the sessions that are pre-recorded, there will be a live chat function so that people who are attending these sessions can comment, they can interact with one another, they can meet one another and talk about what's being discussed. So it will be a pretty dynamic type of event, even for the pre-recorded. But then we will have a number of live sessions, including many of these keynote panels and plenary panels where the experts will be discussing live. Those will also have a Q&A and chat feature for the attendees.
Have you been able to secure any keynote speakers that you can mention?
We have Steve Dixon, the FAA administrator, who is going to be keynoting, talking about where the industry is right now, what's to come. And so we're super excited to have him any year, of course, but especially this year with so much going on. Beyond that, we've got a couple of keynote panels. One is called Drone Delivery in the Era of the Pandemic. And another is Expanded Operations, Regulatory Update, and Lessons Learned from IPP. So they're quite topical, and we're super excited to bring this really important content to our audience.
What will be the major themes of this year's event?
Danielle, can you jump in on that?
Oh, yeah. Being in commercial news, I get to kind of stay on the pulse of what people are talking about year round. And I think, the expo is a natural extension of that in terms we just get to do a deeper dive, get to bring people together to really talk about those issues. So we have Steve Dixon in the FAA, who is really, there's a lot going on right now in terms of regulations and where we're going and where we're at, especially with remote ID finally coming out. Another panel that we're doing is security in the age of drones. And this is something that's really coming to a forefront with current legislation. And, how do you keep your data safe? How do you keep your drone from being spoofed? Those things are really starting to become major questions in the industry, like it hasn't been before. I mean, it's always been an issue, but I think people are really starting to hone in on that. And I think that's going to be something that we're going to be talking about. And of course, we're always going to be talking about those opportunities where the real money is, where is their growth, which is something that I think we've always kind of focused on.
Danielle, maybe you can answer this question. As the pandemic spread, what type of impact did you see in the industry?
Like everyone else, everything slowed down, but there was also an increased interest in the capability of drones. We got into mass media with drones that could deliver things. So drone delivery is becoming something that is mainstream, which is something we haven't really seen before. I think COVID-19 has really gotten that off the ground, and we're seeing a lot more happening with that. And that's speeding up, and that's really an exciting thing to see for all of us. But we're also seeing businesses talking about how new businesses outside of the drone industry are coming to them to ask about how they can manage their assets, because there's social distancing. People are going back to work, but they're going back to work in a way that is very cautious. You can't have the same amount of people. So how do you multiply that work? And that's what drones do. They are a multiplier of work, and they're natural social distancers. So they can help do a lot of the work that you used to do manually. You can look at your assets, you can keep an eye on it, and you can make learned decisions. And the big thing about that is that not only is this helping now, they're also seeing the return on investment for a long-term investment. Something I always like to talk about is people are not going to throw money at something that's going to only be a short-term Band-Aid. They want something that is going to last and bring long-term benefits to their company. And I think that's something that the drone industry has been able to talk about and has been ready to talk about for a long time. I think this is something we've always been able to do. But now COVID-19 has really brought that to the forefront and brought people who were maybe technology shy toward looking at technology and started thinking about technology in a way they maybe weren't ready to before this pandemic hit.
In addition to the session on drone deliveries, are there other resiliency-related sessions that show how companies are persevering through this time?
Actually, yes. We are looking at the economic impact of the pandemic and a path forward. And I believe we have secured Mike Blades from Frost & Sullivan to moderate that plenary panel. That is exactly what we'll be focusing on for that particular conversation.
Also, Randy, I think that just looking at the submissions and how the program's coming together, that theme is going to be woven through a lot of sessions because there are so many case studies that are COVID related that will end up being part of the industry vertical sectors and sessions, for example.
What would you say was the most difficult challenge in organizing the event?
It's just as difficult to organize a virtual event as it is to do a live one. And usually for a live one, we would have a year of preparation leading into it. So we're working on a compressed timeline and we're in uncharted territory. It's like our jobs have changed. So we've pivoted to, we certainly know how to do events, but we haven't really done a lot of virtual events. Nobody has. So it's new territory for all of us. But one thing I have to say is that, it does translate. You know what the important things are to manage. And also our customers have been so supportive and kind. And they know that we're just trying to help them keep their businesses going. And so we have an awful lot of support in the industry for just going out there and making it happen and getting people together. They don't have a way to meet otherwise.
Are you planning on doing this for the UAV Expo Europe as well?
Yes, that's going to be December 1st through 3rd, virtual.
So many people in the US will be able to attend the European Expo for the first time.
Totally, and vice versa. 50% of our subscribers to UAV News are global, so non-US. And so it gives all kinds of people an opportunity from wherever they are in the world. And the other thing is every session will be recorded and posted, so you can watch it on demand if you can't watch it in real time. So it really opens the audience up. I mean, most virtual events are seeing 2 to 3 times the participation of a live event.
Yeah, I could see that if you take the travel costs out of the equation, people are going to be much more open to attending.
They are, and we also lowered, the pricing for virtual attendance too. So, but we really didn't change the quality or the quantity. It's still loaded up with sessions and roundtables and plenaries and keynotes and drone visionary sessions and discussion groups. And so you can get a whole lot of content and connection for a very small price.
What would you like prospective attendees to know about the event?
What I would say is that the event is going to be very different from a live event. Yet at the same time, we are trying to deliver what we deliver at a live event, which is rich, relevant education, connections that will help people make better business decisions, and access to the technology on the market. This is happening in a different way than it has in the past, and yet that is the goal, and that is what we are working towards.
For each of you, what is it about this year's show that you're looking forward to most?
I'm looking forward to seeing how it comes off virtually. It's an experiment in a way, or it's a new experience for all of us. I'll put it that way. It's a new experience for us. It's a new experience for our customers. There are things about it that are amazing and probably exceed the results of a live event. And so I'm interested to see what things resonate, how people navigate it and what they get out of it, and then which pieces move forward into all future events, because I can't really imagine that it's going to go back to the way it was. Even if it's just using that AI-powered matchmaking tool at a live event, I think when we come out of the gate and people start doing live events again, it's going to be fantastic. I think it's really going to take off. So that will be the effect. And right now, I'm just waiting to get to September 17th to see how it all goes.
I am especially excited to see how people connect on this platform and to get a sense of the metrics of these connections and what people are doing, what actions they're taking. Are they meeting, having one-on-one meetings? Are they downloading materials? Are they connecting live? And trying to gauge how that is different from a live event and how that compares.
And Danielle?
Being a tech nerd and being somebody who works in the digital realm, I'm really excited about seeing what works and what doesn't work in a virtual space. How can we recreate some of those experiences or facilitate some of those experiences that our attendees and exhibitors have come to expect from us? On top of that, I think we still are bringing that high quality content that we've always brought. And I think that has been another key aspect of what we offer. And we bring about relevant topics and we kind of dive into them at a very deep level. And that's something that I'm personally looking forward being an editor, is to hear what these industry experts have to say about everything that's happened.
What are the dates for the show?
The 15th through the 17th of September.
What about networking? That's usually one of the big benefits of going to a live event. Is there some sort of after-hours social experience that people will be able to connect with others?
Absolutely. There will be a networking event, which is always a highlight of a live event. So again, fun little challenge. How do you make it engaging, interesting, fun? So there are lots of ways to do it through gamification and some other kind of fun ideas. We have cooking. I think the one thing you have to know about virtual events is no one's going to sit there for 8 hours and consume that much content, or it would be unlikely. So it's set up so that there are certain power hours when the virtual exhibit floor has live people staffing the booths. There are breaks in the content so people can take a break. Again, you could watch it on demand later. Everything will be recorded and posted. So yeah, you have to think about like how people are going to consume that and what's the best way to set it up so that they stick around as long as they can and watch and engage as much as possible.
Are there ways to promote that using a virtual platform? Or is it really up to the attendee to make the most of it?
As I said, we've become students of virtual events, and so we've all attended many, dozens over the last few months, and I've walked away with, really, really happy and lots of contacts and blown away by some amazing content. And I've walked away from others with a huge headache because things were glitchy and it wasn't working and it was, frankly, not very engaging. You can't just take the presentations you were going to do live and turn them into virtual. You have to really change up the format. Besides the technology and the presentation of the information, was there anything else that you picked up from the other virtual conferences that you think is critical in making a successful show? It's really all of it, Randy. It's the whole experience. If you don't have a good platform you're investing in, it's not going to be a great event. It has to be as seamless as possible. Transitions are important. The technology is important. You have to book a whole staff of tech support to do it. We'll probably have, 18 people running this in the background, including some vendors of virtual platforms that we've hired to help us produce it. So it's quite a thing. I have this feeling, and I think we're challenged, that we could do it really well. It's just going to take a lot of work between now and then, and that's what we're spending our time doing. Is there anything that we missed that we should talk about?
Because this is new for all of us, and we're trying to make it as easy and seamless as possible for exhibitors and attendees to make the most of this virtual experience. So we will be putting together some various materials, a combination of videos and PDFs and web pages to help people navigate this. And so I would encourage anyone who's interested in attending or exhibiting to really look through those to be able to make the most of this. And then reach out to us with any questions, because we are here to hold your hands and help you have a really successful event.
And for my final question, Lisa, what message would you like to leave about the importance of an event like this during these times?
We're in an unprecedented situation all across the world and across the board, and it has affected every industry. And I think that one of the things that makes people feel hopeful about, the future of their own businesses and the drone industry in general is connecting with other people and talking about, success stories and ways that people have figured out how to cope in this situation, and that there's a real need for people to connect in order to feel that way. And I've been on a couple of, Randall Warnos was doing the Unmanned Underground Facebook Live 2-hour, just like fireside chats with 12 panelists, and the attendance and the retention has been amazing. And in the comments, I'm watching the chat, as these things are happening, and people are saying, thank you so much for bringing the industry together in this way. And, 2 hours was not too long for them. And the questions were on fire because people need to connect with each other to get a sense of what's going on and to help them move forward. So I really feel like it's important for us to do this, and it may not be 100% perfect, but I think it's going to be really good, and it's not something to be missed. So I would say, sign up. What have you got to lose?
That's it for episode 277 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Lisa Murray, Lee Corkhill, and Danielle Gagne of Diversified Communications. I want to thank Lisa, Lee, and Danielle for speaking with me. If you want to learn more about the UAV Expo or to connect with the Diversified team, go to expouav.com. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Gores.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.